good morning, everybody, and welcome to Thursday, February 22. It is 4:35 in the morning over there on the East Coast, 5:35 in the afternoon where I am, and I want to get this done quick so that I can go enjoy the sunset up on the balcony with my beautiful wife. So, quickly starting off with yesterday's email and the course of how this week has gone to be prepared for what we just went through today or last night. Yesterday's emails, NVIDIA earnings day, Wednesday, February 21 watch. Different structure on the email because it's very quick to go through, and I understand I put a little bit too much effort into yesterday's video, and 25 minutes is a lot to ask when you're talking about your financial security over the course of your lifetime and being able to walk into your job and say, so SPX minus 1% visit on Tuesday. All prior minus 1% visits going back to December 20th were followed by a plus 1% day. The data, the next session with today's plus 1%, way, way, way up there at 5, 20, 50, 25, 27. And I do not suggest smoking that crack. Last week's CPI minus 1% day missed plus 1% the next session by 18 points. Data. We closed above the CPI high when we dropped on CPI going back a week ago. Memory gaps, very difficult for a lot of people. SPX closed down 2 consecutive sessions in a row. We closed down 3 consecutive sessions only once, December 29th, January 4th, for 4 consecutive since the October 27 bottom, which is a much nicer way of saying the day that Israel invaded Gaza. So what I shared already in the spread room was that we are closing green risk trade. Risk being you are putting up a very small amount of money for a much greater return than the amount of money that you were putting up. At the time, which was, I believe, was like 5:30 in the morning, you were putting up $2 risk to get $3 credit. Anybody with a math calculator can figure it out that that is a 150% return. However, if I can go over into the spread room real quick, I'm having a really good chat over there with Nick this morning. Is yesterday, right here, what was it? Yeah, they, where were we here? Fuck it, whatever. If you're not in the chat room, why am I fucking bothering explaining it to you? $4 credit right there towards the final hour of the day on that 49.75 puts. And where did you close? You closed at 49.81.80. Now, having prepared all of this, we are closing green, blah, 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 and being pretty damn strict about it. And again, above 49.85, the bulls have a shot at 5,006. That's today. Today, not yesterday, but that's today. But 49.85, like I mentioned over in the zero DTE room, I missed it. I missed it by 1.79. I will try harder tomorrow, and today is that tomorrow, so I will try harder. Those 49.70s, again, this is bullets flying past your head. I apologize for not reminding everybody that we were closing green above 49.75 for the day. And at 3:27, I was able to get there in the main chat room where that's where I was because it was 4:30 in the morning. Inverted head and shoulder on the SPX, 49.70. That was, like I said, over in the spread room. That's where your problem is at 49.70. There were 30 cents. You ran to $12, you closed at 11.57. 30 cents. 30 fucking dollars for a contract. George Michael said it best. I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body because that's what data does for you. And like I posted there, which I will share, if today doesn't encourage you to start tracking SPX via spreadsheet, I wish you the greatest luck with your life journey because I will not be around forever, but I will be in the club for a lot longer than you will be. So it's there. We share it again in the alert room because it is, I came off of a holiday with my wife in Borneo, no Wi-Fi, no internet for 3 days. The greatest experience I could ever encourage anybody to do. The only alert I put in the alert room this week has been those February 23 Walmart 175 puts for the gap play, the gap fill off of their earnings. They're under 40 cents. They were under 40 cents at the beginning of the day. They were under 40 cents again a little bit after that. They only went to 260 yesterday. They're only up 565% on the week. So enough with that shit. Like I said, we are closing green, and we closed green. We closed green by 6 points, 49.81. That 49.81 provided to eliminate that back-to-back red closes. And as you see, we are still trading in this tight range, very, very tight range, less than 40 points every single day. The credit over there on the 49.70, 49.75s at $4 provided a 400% return. Anything below that, very simple to do the math because they were $3 prior to the open. So anywhere from 150% to 400% was able to be obtained on that trade itself. Thus, the second plus 400% credit spread that we have worked with in the past week and a half. So moving on to the QQQ, which I'll go back to SPX here in a minute. All right. But QQQ being significant because, like we've said over and over again, everything is inside QQQ. QQQ is the engine of where we are and why we are where we are. We reached, and I'll show you here in a minute, 434.49 overnight, which is a plus 2.09% move off of yesterday. Okay. We've pretty much stretched it out. We've had 2.02. We've had 2.14 right there after we posted the bottom on January 5th. We had 2.40, and this comes off of CPI, number one, November 14th. Number two, it comes off having been extremely oversold as we went into that 3 consecutive red months into that, we'll just say it nicely, end of October bottom, so that we don't offend anybody from any different ethnicities or countries, which is what I keep getting. On November the 10th, it was a plus 2.29% day. And November the 10th, as we come back and look back at where we are, November the 10th was a nothing day. Well, there you go. We had 8 green days in a row, or 8 green something in a row on November 8th. I don't remember what the fuck. 8 green closes. That's what it was. 8 green closes. We closed red on November 9th, and we got oversold, and then we turned around, and boom. Right up in your face there on November 10th, which, if my math is right, November 10th, that would have been the week where you were getting some big names of earnings that were coming in on that Thursday night, Friday. So onward and upward, getting done with these spreadsheets because, these spreadsheets, they're fucking boring. They don't do anything for you. Yeah, well, let me tell you. This plus 1% move that we are getting today, which is already above plus 1% as of right now, ends our streak of 12 consecutive sessions without a plus 1% day. So we want to get that out of the way, and we have gotten that out of the way. Over onto the SPX, again, the range has been significantly tight, not trading greater than 40 points, which allows me now to bring you into the charts. The charts being, let's start out here with SPY. SPY overnight, bang, right to the all-time highs. Literally going up there and touching it, licking it like a booty hole. 503.46 with 503.50, the all-time high. Licking it like a booty hole. Right there. We've been here before. We're here again. Now, bringing this into context, we filled the unfilled gap, which needed to be filled. And we created a big monster gap, which I'll get to in a minute. Over here on the QQQ, again, looking at this for what it is, coming off of that big end of January bottom. 3.23% move, 3.33% move, 2.82% move. We have just made a 3.05% move in the course of a matter of minutes, literally minutes. We are talking about here at 3 o'clock, 2:45 in the morning, yesterday afternoon, to where we are now. So bringing it into context and looking at it for what it is, we have stretched ourselves. And if you are going to wake up today and decide that you are going to go and buy calls, stick your head up your ass. If it smells like roses, buy all the calls you want to buy. Buy them all. Go all in with everything you got, because it brings us to NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is continuing to stretch. We're up here now at 770.85, having closed at 674.72. So we are almost up 100 points, where the options were pricing in a 72-point move. That's not what's important here. What's important for me is this, and this, apologize for having too much data. Back here on May the 24th was when NVIDIA created AI. And as they created AI on that earnings report, they broke above their all-time highs from November 21st, or November of 2021, and moved into euphoria land after we got into the beginning of this year. Prior to the beginning of this year, all we could do is beat the shit out of NVIDIA. Every time we came to 500, we could get short. And every time we dropped down to that 430, 420 area, we knew it was time to get out. Started changing a little bit here into December, and then New Year, here we are, just straight up euphoria. The point being here, okay, and I shared this in the chat room. I hope this is what I have over on my screen. And no, I don't. Sorry, it was Walmart. So I'll pull it up out of the chat room. Chat, because I'm having a great chat with Nick here. Here's the guy who you know what, man, I stand next to this guy and say, you are absolutely fantastic. So maybe you can see it, maybe you can't on the screen, but this is looking at May the 25th of 2023, where NVIDIA created AI the day prior. So I posted it in the room here. On that day, SPX had a 40.47 gap up, 36-point range. Again, we closed below the open, but we did manage to close up, obviously, I mean, fucking very obvious, above the prior day close. But again, big gap up, and then having a very, very tight range and closing just a couple of pennies below where we opened up. So I will bring you back onto the charts, get through this as quickly as we can, and move onward and upward. NVIDIA could not give two shits about NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is inside QQQ. QQQ is where the meat and the potatoes are, and this move up, like I shared in the chat and I've spoken to privately with a couple of people, this offers you the opportunity to re-enter what you will see in your email. Seth, you did a fantastic job of using the chat room properly. You messaged me yesterday and said, for degenerate gambler overnight, what would you pick for QQQ calls for NVIDIA? And I told you, look at the 430 calls. 430 calls yesterday were around $1. You're going to be opening up somewhere around $4, $4.50. So that's why when you want to use the chat room properly, you send out the message. Because had I gone out and said, hey guys, go get into calls overnight, 17 guys with Robinhood accounts would have started messaging me saying, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, we kind of said that already. And that was where we said it, where for 2 days we've been talking about it, that, you know, like I said in the chat room yesterday, it sucks to say, but the charts are setting up for an NVIDIA face rip. And why? This is what's important, is I want to show you why I'm saying what I'm saying, not just say it so that you can go over and push buttons. NDX 4-hour gets oversold like that. The buy it crew come in. QQQ drops below the 5, the 10, the 20-day moving average. It looks like it's putting out the I give up white flag, and it gets rocket manned straight up. My spelling was incorrect on straight, so the message may not have been delivered properly. But there you go. NVIDIA gave you what everybody wanted to see, and we kind of needed as well. And that was our move. And we're right back up here into what you could call resistance land, into FOMO land, which is all that it is. And if anybody was to zoom out, you would be looking here and seeing lower highs and lower lows on the QQQ, but trend lines are more important. So NVIDIA up here in the 770s, SPX wider view. Again, we're being sandwiched here. 49.85 being the 50-yard line. Bears think they got control when they're below the 49.85, but there's no bear control until you can pass that 49.20. Above this 49.85, and fucking morons all over the world are out there talking about, oh yeah, we've got the trend line and we've got this. Well, you know what? You do, because you have this big, broad, again, you're not going to fucking deny it. You have this big inverted head and shoulders, which is saying, dude, go for it. Go for it. Just go all in and go for it. Well, unfortunately, you're coming up to a time frame here which is very sensitive, and that being that the full moon is coming this weekend on February 24th. So tread lightly if you decide that you want to go and get long, because what we've got going on over here is the VIX. Big gap down on the VIX. We've almost filled these two gaps, which needed to be filled, and we are trending. Trending is not the right word, but we are holding above that 1410 for now, which would again continue to produce that bigger, broader, wider view of how we are continuing to post higher lows and higher highs. So tread lightly with your downside vision of the VIX, as well as of your upside vision of the indexes and everything else. Over on the IWM, gap up overnight, very obviously, and it has already started to fall apart, not even coming close to filling that gap. And once again, here in real time, despite having color codes, a visit above the 2024 open at 199.40, and it turns around and says, I would never date you. You don't make enough money for me. I would never date you. And it drops back down below that 199.40. So until they come out with the news that everybody in the Russell 2000 crap is buying NVIDIA chips and NVIDIA starts sending money to them in order to finance it, IWM is a piece of shit and will continue to be that piece of shit. And that is why I kept mentioning to everybody, look at your IWM puts. So onto the TNX. And if you want to look at an inverted head and shoulders, I suggest you go right ahead and do it, because here you are climbing very aggressively all year on the TNX, while rate cuts continue to get eliminated. The pricing in of rate cuts continue to get dropped to less and less and less. And here is Larry Summers, the former Treasurer of the United States.
I think the Fed is going to have to be very careful. They were never right to be focused on March for a cut. I had been saying that seemed premature, and they and the markets have come around on that. I think that May is odds off at this point, and probably should be odds off. And gosh, I think we've got to recognize what no one's talking about. There's a meaningful chance, maybe it's 15%, that the next move is going to be upwards in rates, not downwards in rates.
And that is exactly the same thing I started out the beginning of the year with, saying, I do not see rate cuts coming this year. Instead, I see us getting 2 rate hikes. And the TNX is making that climb, which is saying to everybody, you're living in euphoria land over there on the stock market. Speaking of which, over there on the Nikkei, everybody that was bag holding the all-time highs from 1989 is now green. The Nikkei, which is based in Japan, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, has just posted a new all-time high today after yesterday coming out prior to the market in the US opening up, after the market over in Japan was already closed, saying the Japanese government downgrades its view on the economy for the first time since November 2023. Japan downgraded its view on industrial production for the first time since March 2023, and they slashed, interesting use of words, slashed their view on consumer spending for the first time since February of 2022, while China just came off of their Dragon New Year, fucking Chinese New Year, and they have tightened the grip on stocks with net sale ban at the open and the close. And you have Hong Kong over here fractionally up off of its greater than minus 50% decline from its all-time highs. And everybody's over there sucking Alibaba. So you got your VIX, nice little drop. You got your IWM calling everything out for what it is. You got your SPX, where are we? Your SPY SPX, right up there to the all-time highs, right up there. You got your QQQ, lower lows, lower highs, 3% move, 2% overnight. You got your NVDA. Everybody's an expert now. And here you have your SPX, which again, sandwiching in between this area as we go into that crucial coming in here on the weekend full moon. So today, take it light, take it easy. In fact, today is your day to go shopping. And when I say shopping, I'm talking about here's your 30-day, 30 days, okay, on the SPX. You know what? I'll take you off here and put you onto the full moon just so you don't have to look at all that stuff. Here's your 30-day. Here's your 90-day. Here's your bigger, broader view from a 360-day. Today, you can go shopping for April 19th, whatever puts you want, very close to the money where we are, and sit back and relax and drink as much Bud Light as you want over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks, and you will have free Bud Light for the rest of the year with the positioning that you will be making today. SPX QQQ. Enjoy yourself. Have a great morning. I'm off to go watch the sunset and squeeze some booty.
Citizens of America, people of the Florida Alliance,
You gotta move!
and the Western forces of Texas and California will be welcomed back to these United States as soon as their illegal secessionist government is deposed.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.